Welcome back to the Nose Plays Age of Wonders 3. We're going to continue the game that we started just the other day. And we are picking up on turn 7, it looks like. Not sure why the map scrolled all the way down there. Not 100% sure exactly where we were at. I think we were at the end of a turn, so I need to hit the end turn button here in just a moment once I get my bearings. It looks like, yes, okay. So I had just cleared out a bunch of stuff here, finished a quest, I believe, to create a vassal city, which we'll talk a little bit more about later on. But basically, these guys give us a tithe every turn, a little bit of their income, a little bit of their resources that they're gathering. And over time, we may be able to absorb them completely into our empire and have full control of this city. Until then, these neutral units will just kind of defend this city for us if any enemy units come around. And yeah, they'll just give us some free resources every now and then. Maybe a quest, maybe some units. Just depends on their relationship with us. Currently, elves are in a pretty positive relationship with us. Yeah, they're pretty happy with us. So they might give us some cool stuff, or at the very least join us in about 5 turns, it looks like. So that's pretty good. Lots of tooltips will pop up when you mouse over things, so I highly recommend you spend some time mousing over things. It will definitely give you some information that you're missing. Alright, so we were sending our hero and our hero's army down this way. There is a watchtower over here. If we take control of this watchtower, we will get a large amount of vision in this southern region, which is very helpful for us. We also have our High Elf Unicorn Rider scouting out this direction. We'll try to avoid these haste berries and maybe use them a little bit later so we can get some extra movement and basically take a double turn in terms of our movement. I guess we'll go ahead and get started. Alright, so our city just grew, and you can see we now envelop another tile, which includes this mana node. And because this mana node is lit up, there are no enemy units on it. That means we're actually gathering the income from it. If there were enemy units on this tile, we would not gather the income from it, even though it's in our domain. So that's an important thing to note. Looks like we're still working on producing this. But you can see our mana situation has improved dramatically now, and so we're at plus 29. Now is a good time to go ahead and try and cast another spell. And I've been meaning to cast Poison Mastery, but we didn't quite have the mana turn income to do that. Now that we've got that second mana node captured and gathering resources for us, I think it's a good time to go ahead and cast this spell. Because our casting points are only 20, it's going to take a couple of turns before we're able to get this one cast, but it will give most of our units a significant boost to their damage, and we'll probably want to hold off any combat until that completes. It looks like we've also completed some research. So we've researched the Scoundrel unit. This is basically very similar to the bandits that we fought earlier in the series. All of our cities will eventually be able to produce these units now. And in its place, we've unlocked the Bard unit. The Bard unit's pretty useful. They have a pretty moderate, well, pretty mild to moderate ranged attack, but more importantly, they have a special ability where they can actually charm other units and get those units to turn on their allies for a short period of time. So it's pretty powerful. Definitely something that can turn the tide of battle if it's successful. So it's a unit that we may want to pick up. Now that we do have an irregular unit that we can produce in the Elf Initiate, which we started with, and the Scoundrel, we may want to start looking for some upgrades for those units. Rogues have a lot of powerful upgrades for irregular units, and so you can make irregular units pretty useful, I guess is maybe the right word. They're not super powerful, but they're definitely more useful than a typical tier 1 unit would be. This gives them an extra rank. This gives them extra vision. So maybe we just start picking up some of these. This will only take 2 turns. We'll go ahead and grab that and we'll create a scout perhaps. This was the pikeman that we got as a reward earlier. We're going to send him down this way and just see what's going on down here. Okay. Looks like there is a undead necromantic circle that we're going to have to wipe out. If we don't take care of this little red unit here, you can see it's got red banners. That means that they are aggressive towards us, they're at war with us, and they will attack us if they spawn extra units. These 3 units will stay on the tile, and over time these units will get more powerful and more plentiful. So if you leave this here too long, you may end up fighting 4 or 5 units in the long term. You'll want to take care of this as quickly as possible. Once we destroy it, it will no longer spawn enemy units that will roam the map, and that's important for us. We also have a couple of high elf swordsmen and an elf initiate guarding this tower. They are neutral units, and so we'll have to either force them off with a big army and make them run away, or just go in and wipe them out. I'm going to head over here because I see a gold mine, it looks like. Some kind of a treasure site. What do we got here? Flow rock quarry. Okay, flow rock quarry is pretty interesting. It does provide 20 production if you get it inside of your domain, so that's a good thing to have. It does have a fairly powerful army defending it, and we will not be able to take this army on anytime soon. A tier 2 Frostling Mammoth Rider is a pretty powerful unit. You can see it has 80 health, so it's definitely pretty strong. With the charge ability, it can do a lot of damage during a charge. And then the Frostling White Witches are tier 2 units. They don't have a lot of health, but they do have a lot of powerful spells and attacks. There's 2 of those, and then a Frostling Ice Scaper. This is just very similar to our High Elf Initiate, a fairly weak, but fairly, what's the word? Well, capable unit, I guess. That's not the right word. I'll think of it here in a minute. But anyways, a pretty weak unit. So a couple strong units and 1 weak unit. We're definitely going to have to level up and get some more military before we can take that. There's no rush to take this at the moment because there's nothing over here. I don't see a city, and I haven't seen a really good spot for a city. I will say that there is a mana node down here, and this, and then whatever this structure here is. So there might be a good spot over here for a city. The one downside is you can see that this territory is starting to turn into barren territory, and elves really don't like barren areas. So building a city over here and populating it with elves would not be ideal for us. But it might be okay if we end up finding another race and getting them into our empire. This is just a notification that our city grew 1 tile, which is good. It's going to take 14 turns for it to grow another tile. We can speed that up a number of different ways. The primary way that we would speed that up would be producing public baths, which would gain a little bit of happiness and may bump us up to a higher level where we'll actually get, instead of 30% income, we might actually get something like 50% income. So that's a possibility. You can see that this has shifted a little bit from where it was earlier in the game. We have a minus 25 base happiness content. I'm not sure what that's about. Yeah, I don't know why we have a minus 25. Not sure what we did to cause that. But one thing that did happen is when we acquired more territory, we acquired more tiles that do not have our preferred terrain, and so that can adjust the ratio of your happiness to some extent. So right now we have 19 forest tiles essentially in this territory, which is providing us some benefit to our happiness, but all of the tiles that are not forest are either neutral in our modifiers, or in some cases there'll be penalties. We don't have any tropical or subterranean or blighted or volcanic tiles that I can see, so we're not getting any negative modifiers for that. I'm not sure where the minus 25 base happiness modifier is coming from. A little confused by that. I don't remember seeing that earlier. Anyways, we'll just continue to move forward. Our hero is going to be able to move down this road pretty far, but not quite far enough to get to the tower this turn. That's fine. We wanted to wait 2 turns before we take this on anyways, because we want this spell to finish. And we're going to go ahead and move over here. Do I want to move up this way or just go out that? I think we're going to move up this way a little bit. Okay. So a couple of gold mines over here and a mana node. We might be able to use a fortress to gather resources from this without having to build an actual city over here. And we could eventually upgrade a city, a fortress into a city, which would be nice. Let's do a little research. So this is the Tome of Wonders. Any keyword, any unit, anything in the game is basically in this hyperlinked text document. And we can do a search for anything and find out more about it. So if I type in fortress, maybe if I spell it right. Fortress, there we go. Fortress game concept. Okay, so fortresses can obtain gold, mana, and research from resources in their domain. They will not collect population bonuses, and they will not collect production bonuses because fortresses actually can't build anything in and of themselves. But they're good defensive units. They basically provide walls that your units can defend from, and they also will provide a little area of domain around them that can collect resources. The other thing that's really nice is if you build a city inside of a fortress, that city will automatically have walls and will basically just take the place of the fortress. So this is something that we could definitely put over here and start collecting these resources. However, we're not going to want to bother with that until we've cleared the enemy units off of all these tiles, which will take a little time. But that is definitely something on the agenda. We talked about that a little bit over here too. There might be a good position over here to create a city that can collect some of the resources from these treasure sites. This one you may not want to necessarily do a fortress for, because a fortress won't be able to claim the benefit of this. It will claim the benefit of this tile, and it will claim any mana crystals or research points, but it won't claim the population or production benefits of some of these other sites. So we have a choice to make. Our first expansion will either be over here or over here, and it'll probably be a fortress that will upgrade into a city at some point. I might bring him up one more turn and then bring him back down. We can get through these trees pretty quickly because we're an elf and we don't take the normal penalties for moving through vegetation. Is there anything else that we want to do? I could send this elf initiate out to scout this last little bit of Fog of War. I'm not too concerned because I don't think we're going to have any enemies approach from this direction or from the north. We've cleared out the bandit camp that was to the north of us. If anything were to spawn to the south of us, they would encounter our army first, so we're pretty safe to go ahead and send this guy out if we wanted to. So I think that's what we're going to do. And just finish clearing off this little bit of Fog of War, and then we'll head right back. In just a couple of turns, because this is an irregular unit, we're going to increase his vision, so that will make him a slightly better scout. Since our research is going, let's go ahead and move him to there. Okay. That's probably enough. We've uncovered everything. There's definitely nothing in this except for mountains, and I really don't care to uncover that. But I did want to make sure there wasn't a cave or something over here where we could get ambushed from behind. Hopefully we'll find a cave soon and we can talk a little bit about the underground map. Right now there isn't much to see, but there is an entire another map underneath the map that we're currently using, and there are cave points that will connect these two maps that you can travel between. And it's a pretty neat little mechanic within the game. Let's head over here. Okay, there's some haste berries. So if we move... Yeah, we can move all the way over here. We've got another turn that we're waiting. And we found what looks like another neutral territory. Looks like that's gray. Gray territories are neutral. Any enemy players that we find will have a dual colored banner or dual colored border that will match the color of their banners. So our banners are white and purple. There's a large variety of color combinations. Okay, and we have one more unit, and we were going to send him up this way. Looks like we found a road. Come down to this bridge and then we'll head back and clear the rest of this just to make sure there's nothing up there. It looks like there's some kind of treasure site, maybe another gold mine up in that corner. And then this unit... Oh, you know what we were going to do? I totally forgot. We were going to leave this guy back in our main city for defense. And let him heal up. So we may still end up doing that. I'm not sure that I want to include him in the combat. But then again, if we do take some damage, he could be healed up and kind of take the place of our most damaged unit when we start clearing out the rest of these tiles. So we'll see. For now, I guess we'll move over here and uncover a little bit more of the map. Kind of stay close to this army. We can see that the terrain is changing once again to Arctic terrain, so Frostlings tend to prefer the Arctic terrain. Frostlings are kind of the equivalent of Dark Elves in a sense, maybe. I think that's probably the best way to describe them. But they're a Arctic-themed elf faction, elf-like faction. Alright, so this unit finally did spawn on turn 9, it looks like. Some enemy units, they saw our units and they attacked us. These Lost Souls will be pretty easy to deal with. They do have one particularly annoying ability in that they are undying. So if you kill a unit and you don't finish the battle within 2 turns, they will revive themselves with about a third of their hit points, which is really annoying. You want to try to finish them off relatively quickly. This is kind of unfortunate in that our pikeman is not fully healed yet. And now we're going to have to fight an extra battle where if we had just attacked these guys, we would have been able to avoid taking as much damage as we're about to. I can't even cast this spell at the moment, which kind of is annoying. It's very likely that they're just going to charge straight at us. So our best bet might be to sort of back up a little bit and get a little bit of range damage on them. We can see that they can move to this tile. They attacked us, so they'll definitely charge at some point. Turn the tiles on just so I can make it a little easier to see. Let's go and move our Storm Sisters up just a hair. We'll get our dwarves kind of in the back. I don't want them in the front tanking this fight. We're trying to heal them up. So we'll move our two melee units up front. Move these initiates over here in the back. And we'll move our hero right here. And put her in guard mode as well. That should be good. Alright, here they come. So we'll get a couple shots at these guys. Most undead are weak to a few types of magical damage. So they have a fire weakness and a spirit damage weakness, but they are really resistant to blight, frost, and physical damage. Lightning damage is also pretty effective against them. If you have shock damage, that works pretty well. There's no penalty or resistance to that. So, let's see. We can go ahead and cast some of this. Now, if we move up 2 spaces, I kind of want to use this tree as a blocking, a way to block or defend. I'm going to move our dwarf over here, I guess, and turn him just a little bit like that. This unit's probably fine where they're at. And let's just kind of focus all of our fire onto this unit for the time being. See if we can't take that one out. Oh yeah, that worked out pretty well. Our normal darts are only going to do 2 to 3 damage, but we will get 3 to 4 damage from the fire. However, the blight protection basically removes the blight damage from this attack, so that's unfortunate. We also have the crossbow, but it's a single attack for a larger amount of damage. So we're going to go ahead and use this one. Actually, I'm going to back up 1 space, and that puts me out of range. Debating. Yeah, I can't really move back into range very easily. Maybe from here? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I can move to there and still shoot. Only 2 attacks, but enough to soften this unit up. And I'm in a position where they won't be able to attack me this turn, which is the important thing. That should be good. We'll just put everybody else in guard. That will give us attacks of opportunity and strike back if they do attack us. So we'll deal some damage back to the enemies. That worked out pretty well for us. We want to try to make sure we kill both of these units this turn, otherwise this one may respawn before we get a chance to do anything else. That being said, this unit's already taken some damage, so we want to try to avoid taking any damage. This unit has the potential to just outright kill somebody, and this unit can probably level up. No, not quite. Oh wow, that was really good strong attack. So that went pretty well overall. We didn't take a lot of damage, just 1 hit to 1 or 2 hits to our swordsmen, but they were in guard, so they didn't take much damage for it. Being in guard is really important to minimizing the damage that your units receive. Alright, we got the Builder's Hall completed, which is fantastic. That means we're going to be able to produce the rest of these buildings a little bit more quickly and also produce units more quickly if we need to start building and massing an army. We're not quite to that point in the game. You can see we do have a hefty amount of income, and our upkeep is pretty reasonable because we don't have a super large army yet. The bigger your army gets, the higher your upkeep cost is going to be, so you have to kind of balance out your upkeep with your army. One thing that I am interested in potentially grabbing, this is going to take 10 turns to complete. That's a long time before we actually get this extra gold mine online. One thing we could do is produce the stone wall, and the stone wall is an upgrade to the wooden wall, which is nice. It makes it a little bit more difficult for enemies to breach your cities, and you can use ranged units more effectively to fight them off. But more importantly, this actually increases your domain by 1 tile. And so within 2 turns, we could actually be gaining the gold. That's 80 gold we'll be giving up if we don't take this. So I'm going to go ahead and pick this up. And we'll get this, this gold mine. And then in another 8 turns, we'll grab another tile. So that's 1, 2 tiles out. I don't see anything else 2 tiles out. So that second growth isn't that critical in terms of actually rushing it. So I think public baths are going to wait, and maybe we'll go ahead and grab the siege workshop or one of these others. We can also get this spell cast now. This is just a global spell, so all of the units of these particular types will start doing an extra poison damage with all of their attacks, which is pretty cool and pretty useful for us, actually. And now we're in a pretty good position to finish these guys off for good. So I've got about 2 more tiles of movement. Move. I misjudged that by 1. I was going to move just to uncover a little bit more of the map and then try to use the haste berries to finish this, but didn't quite work out the way I had wanted. What we might be able to do, though, is get to here and finish this watchtower off this turn. So I'm going to go ahead and move this unit over there. And then this unit, yeah, we can't quite. I can't even make it to there. Who's holding us up? I guess it's just everybody. Okay, well, that's unfortunate. It's going to take us an extra turn. I was going to go ahead and get this fight taken care of, but it will allow our elf to heal up and be at full health for the fight, and we'll let this guy sit this one out and replace him with the other elf. Having the irregular unit in this army does give us a little bit extra vision, so that's good. And you can see we've got another bonus for irregular units, a movement bonus, and also we could give them a rank bonus, so any future ones we build will be of a higher rank. Scoundrels gain 50% extra XP and evolve into lesser Shadow Stalkers upon reaching gold medal. That's actually pretty good. This makes your Scoundrels a much more long-term unit, effective unit, if you can level them up. This is pretty useful. If we do decide to put a city down here, we might use something like this to change the terrain a little bit, terraform the terrain around us, and give us a little bit better morale in that area. I think I'm going to go ahead and pick up trail running so we can use one of our initiates or maybe a scoundrel that we build as another scout, and that will give them a little bit more ability to get around the map. So this guy in particular could be a really useful scout and maybe uncover some of the map. For now, I'm going to send him kind of back towards the city, just because we want to make sure our city is defended. If we do lose our throne city, we are at risk of losing the game, because if you lose both your throne city and your hero, it's game over. So you always want to make sure that you have good vision around your city and some units defending it, just in case you miss one of these camps and they send a roaming army in there and take it from you at an inopportune time. We could really send this guy out far, or I could just bring him back down this way. I'm not really sure what I want to do. I think part of me wants to go ahead and just keep sending him west and uncover as much of the map as we can, go in this direction. Looks like we found one of the other players. Okay. So we've met a Tigran theocrat. Theocrats are kind of like holy religious leaders. They have a lot of powerful spells. One in particular is the ability to convert your units to their army and just steal your units from you, which is pretty annoying. It's a pretty high level spell, so we don't have to worry about it anytime soon, but it's definitely something we need to be concerned of in the mid to late game if this guy's still around. Looks like he is currently neutral in alignment, and so we don't have any relations or modifiers with his empire at the moment. I'm trying to think if Tigrans probably aren't that bad for elves. Elves have pretty good units for dealing with Tigrans. Tigrans tend to do a little bit of fire damage. They have very fast units. Not a lot of powerful ranged units, but the ones they do have are pretty effective. So we'll just have to see. Is there anything else I want to do this turn? I don't think so. I think we're ready to move on. Okay, that was a little bit scary. He just sent what looked like a 6-stack of units down this direction. And he didn't attack us, so that's good. I kind of want to see where he went. If we could get vision of him, we might be able to figure out if he's strong enough for us to even consider attacking. But that wasn't to be. We did, however, find a goblin outpost. Goblins are units that are pretty difficult for elves to deal with because a lot of their units deal poison damage, and elves have a weakness to poison. That being said, these guys at the moment are kind of friendly to us, and this is partially because of our courtesan ambassador trait that we picked up earlier in the game. So a lot of the independent nations are going to be pretty happy to see us when they come up on us just because of that ability, and it's going to give us the opportunity to sign peace treaties with them right out the gate, where if we didn't do that, we may not be able to sign as many peace treaties. We might have to deal with more hostile independent cities. We're going to go ahead and sign this peace treaty and see if we can't get a quest from these guys and take them over. They would be really helpful because goblins don't really care about this crappy terrain, and so maybe we build a goblin city down here and take advantage of all the resources that we have uncovered to this point. We already know that our neighboring wizard is heading down this direction and scouting this territory for his own purposes. So if we can kind of establish it as ours quickly, maybe force him to head the other direction, that would be good. Also maybe force a conflict with him, which wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. We've got a new hero. A level 2 Dreadnought wants to join us for 150 gold. Dreadnoughts are kind of steampunky heroes. They can cast and deal a lot with like machines. They use a musket and have some pretty powerful abilities, but they're also extremely tough and durable, very tanky. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and take this guy for now. We do have a limit to the number of heroes that we can take. So we want to be careful to make sure we're only taking ones that are going to be useful to us. Because he is level 2, he already does have some points that we can invest into some upgrades. Imperial Authority. All units in the hero's army gain 200 morale. Undead, machine, and elemental units are not affected. Force Field gives us a bunch of resistances. That's kind of interesting. Emergency repairs, repairs machine units. We don't have a lot of machine units because we're not a Dreadnought based character. Cure disease, range strength. All units in the hero's army gain plus 40% shock protection. Normally I would be really excited about an ability like this. Having 40% shock protection on all your units is pretty great trait to have in a hero's stack. However, we don't currently have any immediate enemies that are going to be threatening us with a fair amount of shock damage. Tigrans don't use a lot of shock damage, and Theocrats don't use a lot of shock damage. So our closest enemy neighbor is not really going to be, or is not really going to let us take advantage of this. The camps that we've seen around us so far don't seem to have any units that also use shock damage. So I'm less inclined to pick this up than I otherwise would be. I think it's a good ability. It's just not one that's really important right this minute. Force Field, however, does have some advantages. We have seen some Frostling units. We've also seen some Tigran units, and that 80% frost and 80% fire protection could be pretty important. This is a spell, however, it does cost casting points, and so if we pick this up, we're definitely going to want to make sure that we start investing a little bit of our research into more casting points so we have more available to us on any given turn. We only have 5 points to spend. I don't think it's worth spending our first 5 points on this, but I think it's something we should definitely keep an eye on, and maybe with our next level. I want to pick up some health for this character and a little bit of resistance. We already have pretty high defense, and so we want to make this character pretty tanky. I think that's the plan for him at the moment. What do we do with him? I think the best course of action with him is going to be to bring him down and have him participate in these fights and try to get some experience. So that's what I'm going to do. And I think I want to handle this fight first before we handle the Watchtower fight. We'll just move him together with that unit for now. This unit is going to split up a few of our units, so I'm going to send this Dwarven Pikeman up here and send him to defend our main city, and then we need to send one more of these units packing. Maybe one of these 2 swordsmen. I want to keep the Initiate to gain experience because the Initiate can actually rank up and level up to a more powerful unit. And then, now that we've got everybody here, We'll use our hero to engage in this battle. And take on these undead. Alright, so since we are attacking them, they just chose to just stand and defend their territory. This is a special spell effect that happens at these types of nodes sometimes. So whenever a unit dies, the unit who killed it is healed for 15 health. Originates from Necromantic Circle. So it's really important that we don't allow them to kill any of our units. I don't remember whether this effect also affects us. I don't think it does. I think it's only their army that gets the benefit from that, but we'll find out shortly. I think we've seen these guys before. They do have a ranged attack that deals blight damage and cold damage, which is annoying and pretty powerful against us. Keeping that dwarf might have been a good idea, but he was still pretty beat up, so I wanted to give him some time to heal. All of our units are currently healthy. We need to kind of stay away from his max range. He's going to be able to move up and move into range pretty easily if we advance. So what we want to do if we do decide to advance is try and advance in a situation where we are provided some cover by the terrain, and that will make it a little less a little harder for him to do significant damage to us. From here, yeah, we'll just start from here, I guess, and then we should be able to move to their next turn. So move this unit up to here. Move my hero. I'm going to move this hero all the way over to this side for the moment. Why is this space unavailable for me to move into? That's kind of odd. Is there like a rock there? I guess that is a piece of terrain. Alright. So now we can advance a little bit more effectively into some defensive terrain. I almost think I want to approach from this direction. So if he can move all the way over here and he can fire into these positions, but he can't do so very effectively. This is at his max range, you can see that. He can move into a closer range, but he is still going to be dealing with line of sight penalties and with cover. So I think that's okay if we move this guy over here. And he has the ability to fire on this guy for 10 to 15 damage. It will also reduce his movement by potentially a little bit. But I think what we're going to do instead is just go into guard mode. And we're going to do the same with this hero. What spells do we have? Moving target and poison blades. These units do have resistance to plague as well, I believe. Yeah, 100% blight protection. So our poison damage is not going to be very effective against them. So we'll just put her into guard mode as well. We do have to be careful. This unit can walk through walls, so we can't rely on the walls to really protect us. I think this still provides us some cover for standing there. And we don't want our hero to be attacked, so we're going to put this unit right here. If they decide to come through here, they're going to get attacks of opportunity. We'll see how they decide to do it. We'll stay at max range, and because we're in guard and we do have some cover, we're not going to take a massive amount of damage. Okay. So we can do a really good flanking charge on this unit and almost kill it outright. We want to soften it up a little bit, and so to soften it up, we're going to probably use this spell. I might be able to get... So we're doing a range penalty, unfortunately, but I think... Alright, we gained a level, so that's good. This unit's at 30 health. We need to do a little bit more damage to it in order to really have any success. I can move this unit here and get a little bit more damage. That should be enough for our charge to work. And then once our charge is done, we should be able to move into this space and help defend this hero from being meleeed. Alright. So what I don't want to have happen is I don't want this unit to just walk over here and melee this unit, because he doesn't have his defense up. So what we're going to do is we're going to move this unit right here, and we're going to face this way so that if he wants to move to attack our hero, he can still walk through this. I forgot about that. Okay, that was kind of a bad idea. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of better options. Alright, we want to put our backs this way, so if he does come... Yeah, there's not much I can do about it, unfortunately. Okay. If I do that, we can move this unit. This unit's in guards. We don't really want to attack it. If anything, we just want to make it difficult for him to get through here. So that's what we're going to do. And then this unit does have an opportunity to attack something. We might actually be able to kill this unit. It doesn't have a lot of health. So let's go ahead and give that a shot. Yeah, very good. So far, so good. This guy might raise somebody from the dead. Nope. So you can see we took a lot more damage because we weren't in guard there, which is kind of unfortunate, but it is what it is. We do have first strike. This enemy still has 2 attacks remaining, so we want to be careful in how we attack him. We don't want to take a bunch of retaliation damage in the process of doing it. But I do want to kind of get this guy out of the way. So let's move him over here for now. And then this unit can move right there and get a couple of good shots in on this guy and soften him up a little bit. That will also turn his facing this direction, which will allow us to charge him from the flank again. We can also get a couple of attacks on this guy, and we can flank him as well, giving us a couple of attacks that might actually be enough. Not quite to kill him, but enough to set up the kill for this hero or one of our other units. Let's go ahead and see if we can't get a little bit more experience. Just another attack there. And we can get around and finish that guy off, or go ahead and get one more attack in with our hero. Now we can finish this guy off with one of these other units. Can't quite get to him with these soldiers, so we're going to have to do it with this guy, which is fine. He won't get any retaliation damage because we'll get the first swing. That'll take him out. And so far, so good. Nobody took too much damage that turn. We got some rewards, so we have an option. We can take the rewards, blight weakness but extra defense. That sounds like a terrible idea. And 17 mana. I don't really like that either. This sounds like a terrible item for the heroes that we have, since both of our heroes are elves. Having even more weakness to blight damage is a horrible idea. Even with the bonus to defense that it would provide. And actually, taking the gold, since we just spent a bunch of gold, is probably okay right now. It's going to allow us to do some other things. So I'm going to go ahead and take that. Oh, I clicked the wrong button. Okay, well, we'll take this and then sell it and get a little bit of gold. Not as much as if we had taken the reward. But we did get some mana crystals as well. Yeah, I clicked the wrong button on that. That's unfortunate. But that is not an item we want to hang on to. We also gained a level, so we have 5 more points for our hero. And what I really want to look for are abilities that provide bonuses to everybody in the army. So something like this: Stronger Than Steel. All units in the hero's army gain armor piercing, causing them to deal 2 extra damage against armored units. That's pretty good. Undead Slayer would have been nice, and an extra 3 damage against undead units. Any other ones? Infiltration Squad gives us wall climbing. First Strike is pretty useful. Dirty Half Dozen. This is a good one. So all units in the hero's army gain Devout Slayer, causing them to deal 3 extra damage against devout units. This ability only functions when a hero is leading the army. This is one that we definitely want to take. And the reason we want to take this ability is because we are going to be facing a Tigran Theocrat. And many of a Theocrat's special units are considered devout. And so this will make all of our units in our army more effective against them. It might be a little early to pick this up, but I'm going to go ahead and select it now. And then we have 1 extra point. Night vision isn't really that useful to us yet because we don't have any vision of caves to get underground. And melee strength is not something I'm particularly interested in focusing her on. So what we're going to do is save this point for next level, and that'll give us 6 to spend on some of these more expensive abilities. And maybe find some better ones. So we'll go ahead and clear that. this guy was going to be our scout. And we did have some territory down here in the corner that we needed to scout. So I'm actually going to send him down that way. And then we're going to get these two guys into this city to defend it from enemy units. What we really need in here is a ranged unit. And I'll probably recruit one here shortly. We're one turn away from getting our walls. It's going to give us some more gold per turn. And we'll have enough money to go ahead and get the siege workshop up next, which I think is the priority. Getting everything else built a little more quickly is pretty important. Any spells that we can cast? We could get some crows for scouting, but I think we're going to build the irregular units. They're a little bit better in terms of combat. We're still a few turns away from getting trail running. Alright, we'll finish another turn or two and call it a day. Alright, because our city's so happy, sometimes we get these little bonuses. And so, because we have really high morale, our city grew. Population just grew a whole bunch. So that was really cool. You'll get sometimes where people will just throw parties for you and give you a bunch of money. Sometimes they'll find a bunch of mana crystals. But having high morale is a pretty cool thing to have. And that's one of the reasons why we cast this Iron Grip spell right away, to boost our morale and get us up to situations like that. The stone wall completed, so now we have this mine, and since it does not have independent units, it is farming 10 extra gold for us a turn. Our domain's ever expanding. And the city to the north of us, that was our vassal for the last 6 turns or so, would like to join our empire. We have a choice to make here, so we have a couple of things we can do. We can just ignore this, which we probably don't want to do. We can demand a tribute, and what that will do is it will reduce our relations with them. I'm not exactly sure how much it reduces the relationship, but it reduces it by a fair amount. And what that will do is grant us some kind of a gift. It could be gold, it could be mana, it could be a small army. We get to pick what kind of gift we would like, and they'll give it to us, but it will cost us a little bit of relationship with them. And it will reset that timer, and so it will take another 6 or so turns for them to build up enough positive relationship with us after giving us that gift to get back to this screen. Once we get back to this screen, we'll have the option of either demanding a tribute again and resetting the clock, or just joining them into our empire. By doing that, we completely take control of the city. There is a lot of benefit to that. The downside is those neutral armies that are currently defending it will disappear, and we will be solely responsible for maintaining the defense of the city. They will no longer provide units to defend themselves. So that is the downside. I think at this point in time it makes sense for us to go ahead and spend a little bit of gold that we have this turn on grabbing this city and making it ours. The computer's not particularly capable of upgrading a city properly, and so now that we have control of it, we can kind of guide it and direct it and get it upgraded properly, get the right buildings down. The other thing we can do that we really need to do, and that's why I sent the initiate down this way to scout, is we're going to bring our army all the way back up here to the north, and we're going to clear as many of these tiles around this city as we can, so that as it grows, we start to get the benefits from whatever resources, treasure sites are nearby. So that's where we're going to be heading in the very near future. Trail running was completed, so that's good. Not sure exactly how we got that so quickly. I thought I saw a fair number of extra turns there. It might be this. Yes. Complete the current research for all players. So whatever research we had just we had been working on was finished for us. Okay. Master Cartographer. This basically removes the entire fog of war from the map. You still will not see units in the shadowed areas, but you'll see what the map looks like, which is kind of cool. You can see it takes a lot of turns to get that. It is a high level ability and one that we will not be picking up right now. What I may be picking up is either Irregular Training, Cloak and Dagger, or the Bard. I don't think we're going to be producing Scoundrels right away. Before we produce any Scoundrels, we do want to get both of these abilities. So I'm going to go ahead and start with this one because it's going to take a little time. And that means as soon as we do start producing Scoundrels, they will be a higher rank than the normal tier 1. And let's go ahead and do the battle and grab this watchtower so that we have good vision of this southern region just in case we missed anything. We should have no problem taking this out. Everybody's pretty much healed back to max. A nice variety of heroes. Lots of melee units. It's kind of odd for an elf army to have so many melee units. Archers are really powerful units for elves, but we lost ours so early in the game. It's unfortunate. We definitely want to take this unit down as quickly as possible. Unfortunately for us, they are all in guard, so attacking them right now is not going to be the best thing that we can do. What we might want to do instead is sort of fall back and put one of our tougher units out front to take the brunt of the damage. You can see this hero has a high defense of 12 and our hero has a high defense of 12, and so maybe we use him to kind of tank the damage that these guys are going to deal. Move everybody kind of back and behind. So this is the tile that they can get to. So let's move her back one tile for now. We'll move him over and put him in guard. And we'll move him. I'm trying to debate where I want him. I don't want this unit to be able to attack. So if I move him to this space, he can still kind of protect the flank, and not be engaged by this unit, but be in a pretty good position to retaliate next turn. Now let's see here. We can move her over here and put her in guard. Oh, and I know exactly what we're going to do now. I'm going to move this unit back out of the way, this unit up just a little bit so we have a little bit more range, and then I want to see, we want to be out of range so that this unit has to move in order to attack us. So I might actually move, yeah, we'll move to this spot. That's fine. Okay. And I'm not actually going to go into guard. I'm actually going to cast a spell. We haven't had a chance to really use this yet because we haven't found any enemies that are weak to poison, but we do have an enemy that is weak to poison right now, and that is the elf. So we can do a lot of damage to this archer and almost kill it outright. We could do more damage to it on our next turn after it shoots. So I think maybe that's what we're going to do instead. We're going to let it shoot at us while we're in guard mode, and then we're going to cast that spell on it while it is no longer in guard mode. Oh, that's not an archer, that's us. An initiate. Okay. Well, even better. Okay, so now only one of their units is in guard, the other two are not, so we should be able to get significant damage on either of these units. So if I start with my hero, and we start with our spell again, we should see that we can do significantly more damage. We have a chance to do as much as 20-31, so almost enough to kill this unit outright. This unit we could do, looks like 30 potentially for max damage. Probably not going to be 30, but somewhere in the mid-20s for sure. So we need to get a little bit of damage on this unit. Storm Sisters can probably do that pretty well. We can do really good damage to this unit because we're at close range. And we get 3 attacks from this space. This is a really, really good situation for us. So I think we're going to go ahead and just throw this down right now. And we'll probably kill those units. Really close to killing them, so that's fine. Okay. What I want to do is move my hero out of the way a little bit. So we're just going to move her back this way for the moment, which allows me to move up and get a nice attack on these guys. And that's going to put her in a position to take these guys out with her spell. Alright, not quite, but very close. What do we have left? Okay. This unit is panicked at the moment. I'm not sure what caused the panic. I didn't see, but because he's panicked, that means we can move through his attack range and not get attacks of opportunity against us. So what I'm going to do is, I want to see where this guy can move to. We want to move out of his range. So I can move all the way out here and fire my musket and finish these guys off. And then last but not least, we can attack this unit with one of these two. What I would like to do is protect these guys as much as possible. So unfortunately this guy has enough movement to get all the way around, but if he tries to get all the way around to attack these guys, he's going to take attacks of opportunity. So maybe we'll just leave him in guard, bring this unit up, and attack this guy. That kills him. My hero is still vulnerable, unfortunately. Yeah, I kind of misjudged that. I probably should have put him here, which blocked the path to my hero. Hopefully he comes after one of these guys. The other option is I could just charge him with this. Okay, I can still move this unit. So let's go ahead. This unit can't be flanked. go ahead and move here and put him in guard. That way, if he tries to come straight down and attack my hero, he's at least going to take attacks of opportunity on the way. He'll probably walk around. Yeah, that's fine. Perfectly okay, perfectly okay. Alright, so what we want to do now is go ahead and zap him with her, but I probably don't want all 3 attacks. So let's move back a little bit and lower our damage on purpose. Now we can make some flank attacks with these guys, perhaps. My musket is not operable. But by making a flank attack with her, we'll get these guys to turn around. And that will allow my initiates 20, nah, that's too much damage. There we go. That will allow these guys to back away. Now that they're no longer facing us, we can get just a little bit away from them. And almost finish them off. We will use these guys to go ahead and finish these guys off. Let's take a look actually at who's closer to leveling up. So this guy's at 16 of 25 experience, and this guy is at 6 of 10. So let's go ahead and get these pikemen leveled up. There we go. Alright, so our pikemen are now troopers, and so they get an extra point of melee strength and 2 extra hit points. So that's good. And now that we have this tower, as long as no enemy units take this tower, we will continue to have sustained vision of this entire region. So that's really good for us. There is this city down here that we need to go talk to, but again, I'm not going to do it with this unit. Well, maybe I am. Let me think about this for a second. Maybe what I do is send these 2 initiates off to scout the southern region, kind of in different directions, and pick up one of the other 2 units that's in my city on the way back. I kind of like that idea. You know what? I was going to say maybe these berries would give me the opportunity to do what I want to do. Let's go ahead and use them. I can get over here and talk to these dwarves. Okay, dwarves are really good for us. So let's negotiate with them. They like us a lot. They want to do open borders and a peace treaty without any gold cost to us. So we are going to totally accept that. And then just head back this way and get on with our original mission. That's going to shave a turn off of how long it takes to get those guys into the fold, so to speak. And what I'm going to do with this initiate that's scouting is we're going to come down, scout around this direction, and then back up that way. And pretty soon we're going to be pretty good on movement. Oh, actually, we already did get trail running, so yeah. So we can move a lot further than we would normally be able to. This city has not been set up yet, so we need to look at what we should build. Man, it's going to take a long time to get anything built right now. So that means that the Builder's Hall is probably the priority. The problem with the Builder's Hall at the moment is that we don't have the gold to actually queue that up. And so if I try to queue that up, you'll see that it's just going to pause production for a turn until we actually have enough money to build it. It's never a good idea to leave a city in this state. The other option is we can actually queue up one of these and either increase our growth rate for a turn, increase our science for a turn, or increase our gold for a turn. I think in this situation the gold is kind of our biggest bottleneck right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to spend one turn of producing just a little bit of extra gold, and the next turn we should be able to queue up the storehouse or the builder's hall, or any of these buildings really. We do have our unicorn rider over here, and at the moment I was kind of just sending him west, but we brought him back down this way because we were looking for that hero's army. He did go down this way, but I'm not finding him. Alright, so yep, we're just going to send these two guys to sit in the city, and I'm going to disable them from the queue so they won't pop up with movement orders. We just want them to stay there indefinitely for the time being. When my hero army comes back through here, we'll pick up one or two of these guys and drop off maybe one or two of the other ones and kind of swap them out. And I think this is probably a good place to wrap up this video for today. I'm having a lot of fun playing this game again. If you're enjoying it, please let me know in the comments below. Give me a like. I really appreciate those. And if you have any suggestions, if you have any tips, anything that I'm missing, please let me know. I always appreciate feedback on my play. I'm not an expert player by any means, but I do enjoy strategy games, and I love talking about strategy, talking about what my thinking is, and I think a lot of other players, a lot of other viewers appreciate that. So again, if you're enjoying it, let me know, and I'll continue to play this game for a while. I do still plan on doing some of the other stuff. I just haven't had the time. Things have gotten a little busy for me this October. It's been much busier than I anticipated with some other things going on in my life. So I haven't forgotten about Total War Tuesdays. I'm not really excited about that because of the pacing of the game, and because viewers have there just hasn't been a lot of viewers for that. So I may be dropping that from the channel a little sooner than I anticipated. I do still want to continue my Game of Forgotten and Endless Legend, so that will be coming up soon. So look for that. And then I may be doing some more Diluvian gameplay because I was really having some fun playing that game, but I haven't had time to really pick it up and dive into it recently, just with everything else going on. So also, I do have a new microphone on order, and hopefully this video isn't full of all kinds of staticky gibberish crap that I just can't seem to figure out where it's coming from. I think it's from my cell phone, I think it's from a Wi-Fi thing, but I turn those things off, send them out of the room, and I still seem to get this weird interference. So I don't know where it's coming from, but maybe my new microphone headset will improve the quality of the sound and eliminate some of those distortion effects that we've been getting. I'm getting them on two different headsets right now, which is what's odd. So hopefully I figure it out here in the near future, and we won't have that issue on future videos. But I do appreciate you guys bearing with me, and I am working on getting that resolved. So until next time, this has been the Nose Plays, and you guys have a great day.